Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Red Alert. And this is Red Alert in his Earth mode. And I gotta say, I didn't think that I would be doing any Transformers Kingdom reviews in 2023. I thought we were all out of that phase, but I found this guy at a local Walgreens, didn't have him in my collection, got a little excited when I saw him, and decided I would bring this review to you. So let's go ahead and get going on this, and we'll start with the box. You've got Red Alert, you've got your clear opening there, you've got that artwork where you can see his alt mode looking good, Transformers Kingdom, Transformers up the side, you have that Kingdom artwork on the side, on the back, you have your product shots, a little bit of Cybertronian going on there, he converts in 17 steps, and you have all your warnings and the sad baby. The baby is sad because it took me so long to get this figure. But he should be happy now, so he's a happy baby. Over here you have that bot mode artwork. Looks really good. He is a deluxe class. Up here you got War for Cybertron K38. Down low you have all that information if you care to read it. So that's it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came in that box with Red Alert. We'll start over here on the right-hand side with your little sheet of warnings. Always good to have those. Over here you have your book of instructions, and that leaves you with your three main accessories. So let's go ahead and start in the middle here. Now, this is an accessory technically. Now, it does go on the back of his person, on his backpack. Also can be used as the weapon, so that's why I'm counting it as an accessory. So you've got his light bar here, looks pretty good, so it is translucent. This is just painted white here in the middle, and then you've got your peg right there to plug it in, but it looks pretty good. I enjoy it. It also, when we get to the accessories portion, or showing the accessories off, it looks really good when you use it in the axe mode as well, so I do like what they've done there. Alright, over here you have his rifle. So nothing new at all to see here. This is the standard Sideswipe War for Cybertron gun that we've gotten with every single iteration of that Sideswipe mold. So not a whole lot of excitement here. Got your peg, of course, and then you've got a port right here that you can use. And they are blast effect compatible. And then over here you have your shoulder-mounted rocket. Again, same thing as what we saw with Sideswipe, just in a different color. So you've got that red tip, and then you've got the black here. These do come apart, so that way you can reverse it. I do find it's really helpful to reverse that to get this peg out of your way when you put it on his shoulder, depending on which side you want it on and which direction you want his head to look. So let's go ahead and focus on this piece first. You've got red, it's molded, and then you've got white, and there you go. And then over here you have this piece, and yeah, look at that. It's got a hole in it. It's got a hole in it. It's got a peg in it. It's got a little slot or a tab right there where you can put into the pegs when he's in bot mode or in his shoulder. And then, yeah, you simply just plug it in, and you're ready to go. You can reverse it, like I said, plug it in over here, and you're ready to go for that side. So, totally up to you. Alright, so that is it for everything that came inside the box except for Red Alert himself. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at his details. Here he is, the bot we've all been waiting to see. This is that War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager class Red Alert. And if you have the Sideswipe version of this, there are no surprises here other than just the molded colors and some differences in the paint. But let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at those details. They are pretty nice for Voyager class. So he's got that nice looking head right up there. The sculpt looks good, paint looks good. He's got those blue eyes in there. A little bit going on here as far as the upper chest and shoulder area go. And then coming down to that chest very prominently with that Autobot logo and fire department right there. Coming on down to that crotch, looks pretty good. A little bit of sculpt work in there. And then coming on down to these legs. You've got those red upper legs. You've got the gray lower legs. You've got some good filled in area here. I mean, you've got a little bit of hollow going on right there, which isn't awful. Some hollow right there, but they have a little bit of a rib in there to give him some mechanical detail, so it's not the worst thing ever. And coming on down to those feet, you do get some detail on those feet. Right there. And coming over here to the side, it's just a side of a car. Legs, not a whole lot to see there. When he transforms, he does get relatively solid, so you can't see through him, which is always a good thing. And looking at the arms, you do have some ports galore here and some nice sculpt work all the way around. And up underneath, he is a little bit hollow. It's not the worst thing, but it is there. All right, and coming around to the back, this is how he looks from the back. You'll see that I did go ahead and put that light bar on the back because if you're not using it as a weapon, that's probably where it's going to live most of the time anyway. So he's not the prettiest thing from the backside. He's just really broad right there, but it's not awful. So I can deal with it. And you're going to see him from, oh no, you're going to see him from this side most of the time anyway. All right, so before we go any further, I do want to bring up a couple of quality issues. Let's go ahead and talk about that now. Normally, I wouldn't do this in this segment, but I do want to get it out of the way. I'm a little disappointed in the looseness of some of the joints. So that's my biggest issue with this figure is just the first of all, this right here. Yeah. It doesn't snap in. It doesn't hold at all. So just shaking him, you can make that come loose. And you can see from a transformation standpoint, you've got those grooves in there. Everything should line up. And when I push them in, just, yeah, that's disappointing. So this doesn't lock in anywhere and it's kind of loose. So not the happiest about that. And then this leg right here, this knee is really loose as well. It takes very little to move it. So it also takes very little for him to fall if he's using just that leg. So not tight at all. This one's not much better, but it is a little bit. So a loose knee and a loose chest. Not good. Everything else on this guy's pretty tight, but those two are really annoying. But let's go ahead and get into the articulation and go over what this guy can do. So we'll start up here with the head. As it stands right now, he's looking up as much as he can, and he can look down that far. You can get a little bit side to side, so you can rock him back and forth, and then you can go all the way around if you want to with that head. Coming over here to the shoulders, shoulders come up that far, they go all the way around. At the elbow, you do get 90 degrees on that single joint, and then you've got bicep rotation. Coming on down to the wrist, you get a little bit of wrist swivel, but that's primarily for transformation. You can certainly take advantage of it if you want to for posing. And you do have waist rotation, so you can go all the way around with that waist, which is nice. Coming down to the hips, you get almost a full split. Now, if you get his legs out of the way, you can get a little bit more. So you can almost get a Red Alert Van Damme on this guy, but technically speaking, you really can't because he's going to run into these pieces right there. So, but you do get a nice deep split. At the hips, he can kick forward that far. He can kick backward that far. And then on that really loose knee, you get just under 90 degrees on that knee bend. Coming on down to the feet, you do get ankle tilt, pretty significant. Not a lot as far as the feet themselves go. If you needed to, I guess you could flip this out of the way and then you could bring that foot up if you wanted to, but that's primarily for transformation, not for posing. So really about the only thing that you have down here is just that ankle tilt. There's not much else you're going to do with that foot. All right, so that is it for the details on the articulation. Oh, look at that. He's trying to break dance on me. That is it for the details and articulation. So let's go ahead and throw him on the turntable, throw some accessories on him and some blast effects, and we'll take a look at him from there. And here he is with the use of all of his accessories and the use of those blast effects ports. And as you can tell, there's just all kinds of fun that you can have with these figures. That's one of the great things about this War for Cybertron collection is just the use of the blast effects. But yeah, you can see he has his shoulder-mounted missile here. You can place that on either side because you've got slots right there, so that's totally up to you. Then he has his rifle over here, and what I've done is I've taken the light bar and I put the light bar right there on that side, simply because I needed somewhere to put it so I could use the port in his back for that big blast effect where obviously it's Starscream shooting him in the back there. The other thing that you can do with the rifle and the light bar, and I'll probably just do a quick jump here after we do this segment and show you, is you can make that battle axe out of those two pieces. So he looks pretty cool holding that battle axe as well. Probably one of my favorite looks for him when he's in his bot mode. But yeah, you can see there's just all kinds of cool stuff that you can do here. And just have a blast with him, pun intended. So let's go ahead, get him off the turntable. I'm going to show you the battle axe portion of that. There's nothing to it, so I'm not going to waste the time in the video showing you how to do it because it's super easy. You just plug this end into his hand, and then you plug the battle axe end basically where it is and rotate it 90 degrees, or the light bar, rotate it 90 degrees, and voila, you've got a battle axe. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. As promised, here he is with that battle axe mode. And like I said, there's nothing to it. You just take the end of that rifle, and then you're going to plug that into his hand, and then you're going to take this light bar and you're going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then, yeah, it looks cool. I like it. It's a good look. The other thing that I want to show you real quick is one of the reasons I was talking earlier about the being able to reverse this, plug this in either way. So if you go per the instructions or per the photo, you're going to have it mounted this way, and then you've got this port, or this peg right here that's sticking out. It is physically interfering with his head right there. So if I were to take this off, you can see if I had the head back just a little bit and plug this in, you're going to see that it's going to run right into the head. That's not cool. So then you got to push the head forward just to get this in all the way. And even then, you're running into the back of the head right there. So you've got like no head movement forward and back when you've got this installed. So what I do is either put it over here, or don't fall. There you go. Or unplug this, plug it in over here, and then plug this in right here on this side, and now you have full head movement. There we go. So now you've got plenty of clearance for his head. So back, left, right, whatever you want to do. So this is kind of annoying, this thing right here, as far as getting in the way with the head. But now that we've got all that out of the way, ooh, looks like he's going to fall over. Now that we've got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the transformation and get him into his car mode. As you may expect, transformation is pretty simple on this mold. And for those of you who have the Sideswipe mold already, there'll be no surprises here. But let's go ahead and get started. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take this chest area, you're going to flip that chest area up like that, give that a push so it locks into place, and make sure your head's back and a little straight. Take this chest piece right here and bring that down, and you're going to cover the face. Bring your arms out like this, bring these doors out and flip them back so they're sitting like little wings. And then you're going to take your hands, you're going to rotate those hands in like that. And then you're going to lower this, bring this in, make that 90 degrees, and close that up. So lower this, put those hands in, 90 degrees right there, bring that in, close that up. All right, now you're just going to take the whole thing, rotate it 180 degrees at the waist, then we're going to come down here and we're going to work on those legs. So you're going to take these panels right here, you're going to lift those panels up, and when you do, you're going to push these feet in. Now when you push these feet in, you've got these little pieces right here that if we look back here, as you push on those pieces, it's going to cover up the back side of the car. It's also going to make room for the foot. So then you're going to slide that foot in just like that. And you're going to do the same thing over here. Lift this up, push that piece out, bring that foot in. And then we're going to take those legs, we're going to lock them together, we're going to tab them as such. All right, and then we're just going to simply rotate this 180 degrees, bring this down. So it looks like that. And then we're going to bring these pieces down, and then we're going to close these door pieces. So you do have tabs and slots right there. Close that up, and you have Red Alert in his vehicle mode. Even though it's a relatively simplistic transformation and mold in general, I think they've done a good job here with this design as far as giving those Earth mode vehicles a nice look. He's not perfect by any means, but I think he gets the job done really well for the Voyager class for this price point. So a couple of minor things. First, I just want to put him on the table 360 so you can see him without my hands getting in the way. But a couple of things that I would have liked to have seen done a little differently is I would have liked to have seen the white right here in this area. That way it would have matched the color and the flow across the side of the car. Not a huge deal, just a little thing to pick on there. Would have liked to have seen some paint on the back side of the car, so maybe some taillights, brake lights, and then also underneath here if they could have had some type of panels, maybe to cover some of that up. It doesn't look awful. I want to specify it does not look awful, but just a few minor things there. But I think everything else really comes together really well on here. So let's go ahead and take him off the turntable. We'll bring him in and look at some of those details. So let's go ahead and move this off to the side, and we'll take a look here. And at that hood, that looks good. I do like what they've done with the headlights there. Got your Autobot symbol, fire department. Coming over here to the side, I do like those wheels. Man, I'm so happy that they didn't use mushroom pegs. These wheels just take the cake. They really make the car for me as far as that's concerned. You do have a little bit of sculpt work on the side there. You got some nice air intake action right there, coming around to the back. Not the worst thing ever. This could almost pass as wheelie bars, so not going to be too critical there for the price point. Would have liked to have had some paint back here, though. And coming around to this side, it is the same as the other side. And taking a look from the top, that's how he comes together. And from the underside here. So he folds up pretty nicely. You do get a little bit of visible head center, but it's not that bad. I do think the color matching is off between the paint and the molded parts. It's not the worst thing ever, but you know, when you see it right here versus right here, it is a pretty stark contrast. So a little bit of improvement there would have been nice, but no major complaints. My biggest complaints are still just simply going to be with the looseness of the joints in the bot mode. But yeah, now that we've taken a look at him in the vehicle mode, let's go ahead and do some comparisons. For our first alt mode comparison, here we see him next to the G1 Prowl. I unfortunately no longer have my G1 Red Alert, so Prowl is a nice substitution as far as emergency vehicles go to give you a sense of scale there. Our next comparison is also a police car. He's just not a good one. He's a corrupt cop, if you will. This is Barricade, as we saw him from the Transformers The Last Night Bayverse movie. Here we see Red Alert with his mold mate. This is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Sideswipe, the Earth mode for him as well. So the exact same mold, everything is exactly the same except for those colors. Moving on to our next comparison, this is Red Alert as we saw him in the Siege portion of the War for Cybertron trilogy. And transformation is the same. Most everything is the same on these guys. The molded components are slightly different as far as their geometry, but they do everything almost exactly the same. But we'll get a couple different views here of these guys so you can see them. The big difference here obviously is going to be just that battle-worn look, and then those colors are a little more muted than the bright white that you have over here for the Earth version of Red Alert. So here they are head-to-head, and this gives you a pretty good idea of just what we're looking at from a geometry difference between those two figures. So take your pick which one you like better. Me personally, I kind of like the intakes on this version a little bit better than the Earth mode, but the Earth mode is definitely way more Lamborghini than the Cybertronian mode, of course. And this view is that 3/4 view from the back to kind of give you an idea of what they look like as they're driving away from you. And you can see there's some geometry differences there as well. I think if we would have gotten some paint back here, this would have been a much better look. But as it stands right now, again, for me, I like the look of the taillights and everything on the Siege version better. And for our final view here, this is just them back to back to kind of give you an idea of some of those differences in the geometry of the parts in this view. Last but not least, here we see a couple of Red Alerts hanging out. Of course, on the left is that War for Cybertron Kingdom. On the right is Masterpiece Red Alert, so you can get a comparison, if you will, of how he stacks up size-wise to a Masterpiece version. That's going to do it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's go ahead and get him transformed back into his bot mode. We'll do some comparisons there. So to get Red Alert back into his bot mode, first thing you're going to want to do is transform the legs. So let's go ahead and open these arms up, or the doors up, to get those out of the way to give us the clearance that we need. And then we're going to open these panels right here on either side. It's going to give us access to those legs, which now allows us to rotate those around as such. And if you want, go ahead and split the legs now. And then what you're going to do is, you've got two options here. You can either grab this foot and pull it down with your thumb right there, or you can come back here and you can push this piece, and then that's going to help you with that foot and push it out, and then bring that foot on down, and then you close this panel up, and oh, look at that, you've got a leg done. So we'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to push on this piece from the back and make sure I'm actually pushing on it. Push on the piece from the back. There we go. It's going to bring the foot down, and then we're going to close that panel, and there you go. 2 legs done. Let's go ahead and rotate this 180 degrees, and then we'll come over here. We're going to take these arms. We're going to bring those arms out. We're going to bring them up, bring them out, bring them up. Now you can take these doors and fold them all the way in. Take this piece right here, lift this up, and then swing all this down. And then hopefully on your copy it'll, lock into place and not do that like it does on mine. And now he's looking like he's doing the Thriller dance, but let's go ahead and bring those arms down and bring those hands out and straighten those out. Arms down, hands out. And there you go. Voila, you now have Red Alert back into his bot mode. For our first bot mode comparison, here we see that Kingdom Red Alert next to the G1 Prowl to give you an idea of size there. Next up is that Bad Cop Barricade as we saw him in the Transformers The Last Night Bayverse movie. For our next comparison, here we see Red Alert next to his mold mate. This is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Sideswipe in his Earth mode as well. Next up is our Red Alert on Red Alert comparison. So both of these are figures from that War for Cybertron trilogy. The one on the left, of course, is that Kingdom Earthrise, and the one on the right is the Siege mold. So transformation engineering is exactly the same, just a few different shapes on the geometry of the components and the coloration. But you get an idea of seeing these two Red Alerts together. I think they look pretty good. And last but certainly not least, here we see another Red Alert on Red Alert comparison. This is the Transformers Masterpiece Red Alert to give you a sense of scale there and see the differences between that Voyager class and then a Masterpiece level. And just like that, comparisons are all done. So let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there you have the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Red Alert. And setting aside the quality issues that I have on my copy and the fact that this is about the 8th time we've seen this mold, I think this is a fairly adequate figure, and I don't think there's any issues in picking this up and putting it into your collection. But let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit. We'll start with the overall looks, the aesthetics of the figure. Overall, it looks good. I mean, this is just a nice design. The mold itself is a good design. It captures the bot mode and the car mode, both pretty darn good. So I don't have any real complaints about the design and the overall looks of this guy in either mode for the price point. I would say that a little bit more paint would have gone a long way, particularly in that car mode, to have some tail lights, brake lights, that kind of stuff. Maybe some more paint in the bot mode, in the crotch or the lower leg area as well, or maybe those forearms, to kind of add a bit of a splash. I guess that would be, would have been nice to have had. He does have a few hollow areas, but they're nothing major, nothing that truly detract from the overall look of the figure. I will compliment, give credit where it's due. The wheels in car mode look great. I love the fact that they didn't use mushroom pegs, so very happy about that. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 for the overall looks. Moving on to the articulation, he's done really well. Again, going back to the fact that this is a good design as far as the overall design for this Sideswipe style mold. It's done really well. There's only a few minor areas from articulation that are bothersome, but they can get significant as far as the annoyance factor, primarily in those feet. So you get the ankle tilt, but you don't get a whole lot of up and down. You don't get any movement in the toe or the heel or anything like that. So you just get that ankle tilt, which is good to have, but you're going to be kind of limited in the way you can use him. Also, in the head, you've got great articulation in the head. The problem comes in the interference with the missile launcher. So if you have this peg sticking in toward the head, you don't have a lot of options there. So a couple of things that I think they could have done a little bit better, but overall it's pretty good. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 on articulation as well. So moving on to the accessories. How many times have we seen these accessories? I mean, other than the light bar, which you can make the battle axe out of, we've only seen that one other time with that Siege Red Alert. But You know, the missile launcher, the gun, they're all the same thing. They're perfectly adequate. He comes with, if you count that light bar, he comes with the 3 accessories. You can do things with him. They have blast effect compatibility. The figure itself has a ton of blast effect compatibility, which is great. It's just there's nothing new here. You know, that's the big thing. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 on accessories as well. Moving on to overall quality. He's got 2 real big issues. I can't tell you how much I hope it's just my copy. That loose left knee and the loose chest. Those are major, major quality issues. They're way too loose. The knee is not, in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal because I can fix that myself, but I shouldn't have to buying it off the shelf. It should be nice tight joints, just plain and simple on that. And then that chest just not locking in any fashion and being super loose is really problematic as well. It doesn't get in the way of posing, but just handling the guy, that chest is going to pop up and it's really annoying and kind of disappointing. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 on overall quality. Taking us to our last bullet, which is overall value. So again, always the most subjective one. I will tell you that for me, I think the value is there. I like the character of Red Alert. I like this design. And when I saw him, I knew I wanted to pick him up. So I think the value is going to be there for me. Personally, I picked this figure up at a local Walgreens drugstore in North America for $24 US. And that is MSRP for the deluxe class figures. You know, you're just going to find them around that price point. So I don't feel like I paid more than what I should have. Would have loved to have found him on discount or had some kind of ability to get him for less than that. But I think $24 is more than adequate for him. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for overall value. So that brings us to our grand total out of a possible 50 points. Kingdom Red Alert was a little lower on the list here with 38 out of 50, which puts him at 76%. So I'm not going to give this guy a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. If you're lucky enough to find him in Walgreens and he's a character that you like, go for it, grab him. I think you're going to enjoy him. He's great to have as part of that Kingdom collection. But because there are so many other versions of this mold out there, you're not getting anything new here. You're not going to miss it unless you are just a fan of the Red Alert character. So with that, that's going to wrap up the review. I hope you guys got some good information. I hope you got some entertainment out of this. And if you haven't already done so, please be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Leave a comment if you feel like it. I try to respond to the comments as often as I can, but man, life gets in the way. It's just busy for me this time of year. So with that, that's going to wrap the review up. One last thing, if there's anything that you see on these videos or this channel that you think other people would enjoy, please feel free to share this video, share that channel with others. We love to see the channel grow. So with that, that's going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.